If you clicked on the title knowingly, you probably already know what I'm going to talk about. So, my question for this video was going to be, what makes a good card concept, and how it should actually function in-game, what not to do, what to do when balancing them, and also just how unique they can be compared to other cards. I may also, in this video, go over certain cards in Block Tales that I just dislike, like cards that need reworks and stuff, so I'll probably be mentioning some of those along the way, you know, while I'm mentioning all of my other card concepts. So, without further ado, let's get into the card concepts. Just a notice before I actually go into the video, some of these concepts were made by other people. I just made the art for them, so I'm going to be featuring them in this video probably. So what is a good card concept? What I would consider a good card concept is something that stands out on its own, but is also unique and pairs up with other cards really well. Like, a decent example of these would be Charge Defense and Anti-Up or Aggressor as well, because they can go in any deck while also being able to support either your weapon types or your support types. Like, for example, Good Vibes pairs really well with Charge Defense, as it means that you're going to be healing more HP than you are going to be taking damage, considering that you're halving your already halved defense. So at that point, it becomes 75% damage reduction. But those are actual cards. What about actual card concepts to go along with it? I'm going to display on screen a good card concept and a bad one, and you're going to have to guess which one's which. Oh, and feel free to read the concept, it's easier that way. Okay, if you couldn't tell which one was which, it was pretty obvious that Team Attack Cruel King was the concept that was actually unique and is better than Hang Glider, because Hang Glider uses a similar concept to line bounce, but with added dangers. These reasons all unintentionally, specifically unintentionally, make a card concept less interesting than if you were to give it something that gives it more flair or hasn't been done before. So that's, in my opinion, what cards actually lack. Just unique gimmicks that make it unique to the story, that change the gameplay a little bit, just a little bit, for the player to enjoy and build around it. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that the card has to be unique. It can be just a basic concept that gets the job done, that is still different compared to other cards. Like, for example, if I use my card that I made for a certain YouTube video, you should really watch that, it was called Duality, and what this card did, it made it so that it would subtract half the HP and half the SP depending on what move you use. For example, if you decide to call Griefer for 10 SP, it would instead subtract 5 HP and 5 SP, so then you could call Griefer. Okay, back to the cards I mentioned before. If you couldn't be bothered reading, Team Attack Cruel King, basically, Cruel King takes the Ice Dagger out of your pocket and freezes the floor while enchanting your sword with icy capabilities. Once done, you slide through, piercing all enemies on the field for 4 damage, full defense, trying to inflict them with a new effect called Frostbite for 3 turns, which is a mix of ice and fire at the same time. It also doesn't waste Cruel King's future turns, so it doesn't waste Cruel King's attack for something that could obviously be better. Now, you could obviously say yourself that this is a line bounce copy because it goes through all the enemies, but not only does it pierce defense, well, I guess Hang Glider does as well, but like, that's not important. It also inflicts like a better effect, and it doesn't take 4 perfect action commands to actually like complete the attack. It just does it automatically for you, which makes the card concept more unique compared to something like Hang Glider, which is just line bounce, but you have to fly through the enemies 4 times for 4 damage on each of them for Dizzy. But even if you fail, you just take self-damage, which isn't a good example of a good card concept, because it just defeats the purpose of being unique, and it also just has a negative downside. Well, cards can obviously have negative downsides, but the fact that the negative downside is damage for something where you can just line bounce doesn't seem worth it at all. The only instance where it would be good is paintball gun, but that's about it. But at this point, instead of pointing out the flaws within card concepts, let's focus more on main game cards and what flaws they have. Because, of course, not every card is balanced properly. I'm looking at you, Slinger. But with the correct criterias and opportunities, we can probably balance them to be good cards, but also not fantastic ones that sweep the entire game. Still looking at you, Slinger. Like, for example, let's take Deep Focus. Before it got nerfed to the ground, rest in pieces, it was a pretty good card that, when equipping all 4 of them for 4 BP, it allowed you to heavily invest in using sword energy for your team or yourself, which I think was good because revolving your deck around all 5 swords currently in the game was pretty good because you could use that to your maximum potential with 4 Deep Focuses. But now, since Deep Focuses have been nerfed to give 0.05 sword energy per card equipped, it's very impractical to use 4 BP for an extra 0.2 sword energy when you could just probably regular focus, even though regular focus did technically get nerfed in one of the patches, but then it got buffed again. So there's not really much of a difference there. It's just the fact that Deep Focus got nerfed really discouraged using Deep Focus decks. So how would we fix that? Well, that's not for me to decide. But what we can do is take this and put it into our card concepts. How, you may ask? Well, using the knowledge that we got from the Deep Focus nerfs, we can assess the situation being that making a card too overpowered most likely get the devs or you to nerf the card because it's going to be way too useful, but making it too useless by nerfing it like tons of times will just discourage people to use it at all. So what we can do with this information is find the perfect balancing point between the two. But how do we find that balancing point? Well, the first 2 things we need to take into consideration are BP cost and SP cost, because, well, both of these are vital in balancing cards, specifically active cards, not passive cards. So, for example, something like Anti-Up would be a high price because it adds 1 damage to, well, any weapon that you use, which is pretty good, especially in a game like Blocktails where every single piece of damage that you deal counts. Whereas Charge would cost 1 BP due to the fact that you need 3 or 2 of them to make them useful, so increasing that BP per charge makes it so that you need 3 BP to make Charge very useful. Well, besides the fact that they removed the 3rd charge. If you still have 3 charges, then you'll get my point. Now, how can we apply this to our card concepts? Well, let's see. So, for this one, we'll be using NullVenom's Honed Mind card concept. So, taking a look at this concept, it isn't exactly the strongest. In fact, I would say it's pretty underpowered. So, it would need a buff from what I'm looking at. In case you couldn't be bothered to read, here's what it said. The card costs 3 BP, and it increases your basic actions NRG gain by 10%, but lowers your guarding window by 20%. That's about it. Now, since this card needs a buff, we would have to figure out what we need to do with it. We would either have to buff the NRG gain or lower the BP cost to make it fair. And in this situation, I would suggest buffing the NRG cost up to 20%. So then you gain more NRG for the increased risk of taking more damage. But of course, everyone else has different opinions, so if you think differently, let me know. Other than that, the main way that you want to make your card concepts the best they can possibly be while being balanced and fitting in with the game is to consider the BP cost their usefulness inside of battle, and their collaboration with other cards to make them the best they can possibly be. But you also have to keep in mind that cards need downsides to them as well. That's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.